Okay, I thought I'd take a moment to talk about adding and removing mods from the load order of a current game. I know Bethesda, and I'm not trying to contradict mod authors or anyone else. This is just me kind of playing around with the data, playing around with my game. It's no big deal to me. I'm kind of doing a lot of testing now, so if the game borks out, I'll just simply start another one. And in some instances, I don't have a choice to, and that's what I'm going to talk about here coming up or next. And so, to start out with, the way that I believe Bethesda did it, if I remember correctly, variables are attached to scripts. So, no matter what the script is, that is how you attach variables, additional variables to the game engine. And that variable can be what they call a boolean, which is, a true or false value. It can be an integer, which is like a number, or anything of that, a string. It could be any type of variable. Um, that is attached to a script. So even if you just want to add variables to the game, for whatever reason, you have to declare that in a script. Again, if I'm mistaken, please correct me because I don't want to, say something that's incorrect. But anyways, that being said, that is how you define the variables. So they're allocated and then they're linked. Their references are linked back into the game engine itself. That is why if let's say you have script number 1 which declares variables, and we'll call it script number 1. In script number 2, you want to access script number 1's variables. That is why you have to reference script 1 dot and then whatever the variable you want to reference. So that way it kind of does its own internal linkage. In a programming sense of view, if you're talking like if you want to talk about a very basic idea of a compiler, you have to get all your variable references and then you have to resolve them, what they call resolving them. So you have to get your variable references, and then when you use them in the program, you have to resolve that back to an actual memory address, because every variable is allocated system memory. So that is how it keeps your value. So you allocate a variable, it basically assigns a system memory value, which is an address, to that variable. And that is the problem where if variables are the wrong type, because in the system they're generally contiguous, meaning that variable 1 sits right next to variable 2 and it sits right next to variable 3. So if variable 1 is a byte, which only consists of, let's say, 8 bits, it's a single letter, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And the next variable is also a single byte. So let's say it's a B. So byte 1 has A, byte 2 has B. If there is no way of checking what you're storing at that reference point, because you say I want the very first field, so it resolves that back to an address, but you stick 2 letters in there, which is, let's say, CC, DD, EE. Doesn't make a difference. Let's just say CC. So if you don't have some kind of compiler check in there, even in the papyrus, if you don't have that kind of check, then because you're trying to do this as fast as possible, you don't want to have a ton of edits. You say it's a 2-byte or it's a 2-letter variable. I'm going to assume it's correct. I drop it in there, and now the C overwrites the A. The first C overwrites the A. The second C overwrites the B. That's definitely an overrun, and that causes major issues. I believe some of that still exists to some point, and it's not necessarily a scripting author's fault. I believe that it happens when certain very, very edge conditions or very, very rare conditions exist in the VM engine, based on what I can see. Okay, so that being said, you declare your variables. So you can have what they call global, but even though they call it local, let's say you call it global and local. So a global variable would be something that is attached to a script that you have to reference. So you will actually have to know what script it's in to reference that value. When you extend a script, I believe what that does is that includes the event, the message event for your script from whatever script you extend. So in a sense, it allows you to have access to those functions in your own script, but that's not what this is actually about. We're talking about like uh, adding and removing mods. So that being said, you've got a script that's running. You add a plug into your game, and it has scripts. So you got scripts that are running, which set certain values, and they may change global values that are used by other scripts. Um, so let's say that you have two scripts running, and then your script is third, or the script you're going to take out is third, and it changes those two values to what it looks for. If you remove that script from the game by removing the plugin, you're going to have data that the other scripts cannot necessarily use because that script is not overriding anything. Also, you can have objects in the game where I'll take this down because we're getting ready to go this way. But you can have objects in the game. Like, let's say you add a script which adds guns, and NPCs have them. And then you remove that plugin, those references are gone. Therefore, NPCs have references for that gun in their inventory that they no longer have. They could be in your workbench. We'll just call it in game, in the game world, and that could be anywhere in the workbench, laying on the ground to be picked up in an NPC, or even in a list, a leveled list that is going to be that is actually going to be used to give an NPC the gun. So you take that plugin out. A couple things are going to happen. Let's go over this way here. We're going to take a look at saves because I actually just did this. And let's go back this way first, and let me go down to the bottom here and take a look. And you can see where, here. Okay, you don't want to look at this per se because this is where I actually regened the bashed patch and the complex sorter. So I take them out and then I add them back in. But up here, you can see where I took out, let me de-highlight these real quick. You can see where I took out drones. I added a mod here, and I believe I actually took out something further up this way. It's going to be one of these little plug-in things. Let's see. Oops, missed that there. There we go. It's actually going to be one of these little plug-in text things because this is where I add or remove things. And I don't think I have a way to link this back yet. I don't have a manifest. I'll add that here in a little bit. The functions are in there. I just have to link it. Okay, so basically down here you can see where I took out the drones. Now this did a couple things. Let's hunt it back up here. Where are you at? Here we go. Okay, so let's de-highlight that. That's where I added. I'll leave that in. So drones here, I took this out. And I took out some other things as well, but it's not, I didn't take out a lot. But I did take that out. Now drones were added into the workshop object list, so I could actually create it for the settlement. They were spawned by let's see, they're spawned by synth patrols, and they're also spawned by gunners. I have seen the synth patrol spawn them, but they will turn on the patrol and wipe them. They'll wipe the patrol out. Like I said, it's kind of funny when you hear them, like you can hear this weird like da-da-da-da noise going on, and you know the synths are getting wiped out by their own drone. But it does have it in workshop. They did have them, and I shot them down. They were in the game world. So I went ahead and removed this, fired off the game. And when I did, the one thing that I did is I fired off my game. The game immediately said, okay, drones are no longer in the drones ESLs, no longer in the load order. And I did remove ESLs and ESPs. So let's just stick with ESL for now. It did say, okay, you've removed it. Some objects may not be available, which is true because the drone's gone. The data's gone. The references are gone. So, anyways, I loaded my game up, and the first thing I did was I saved it back. I thought, because you always hear saving it back is going to, because like if there's objects that exist in the game and you save it back, saving it back is going to save it back without those objects. Okay, so I saved it back, and then I loaded the game save that I just saved back into the game. So I loaded the game without the objects. It said they weren't there. Immediately saved it, and then reloaded that game again. Now, when I go over to, so if I go over to my game save, now I don't have them here because I only keep a limited number of game saves and I back them off to archive files, and I delete them when I have to back up the, the back up my data. I can keep them, but it takes up too much space. So, but anyways, for right now, let me grab this real quick. We're gonna go in and we're gonna do a resaver on it. And what happened when I deleted the drones was this right here had 6 unattached instances. Had 6 of them. And I think that's really all that it showed. Now, it shows 2 here. I'm going to show you these, but I always have these. And I'm not sure where this is coming from, but I'll figure it out later in some millionth and one game testing session. But this said 6, okay? So when I looked up here and I go up into, let's say, clean, and show me these unattached instances, instead of I and O, which I is almost always input layer, and these two are almost always here. So I know a mod's doing it. I just don't know which one. I don't know if it's the original game right now. I'm not really sure. But this had a whole bunch of stuff that was that pertained to drones. So loading the game, saving the game, did not remove those invalid instances. So I removed them, or attempted to remove them, with resaver. And let me think about this a minute, because oh god, there's like so much I've been doing. Okay, so either I removed them with resaver, or I let the game run for a little bit. So I went back in the game, I ran around, and eventually the papyrus took care of itself. It was one of those 2 instances. So in one instance, I would have to go in and literally remove these instances, which would be like remove unattached instances. And I think there may have been some elements there as well. But the game actually healed itself, so to speak. I don't think that happens all the time. I think it depends on what object was removed, the nature of the script, whether the script is embedded in, whether it's deeply embedded in frames or whatever that is. So anyways, back onto this. So I think that inherent to the VM of the game, it does try to clear itself out some. Whether that's in the garbage collection process, I'm not entirely sure. Let me get a cough drop real quick. I'm not entirely sure on that, but I do believe it does. Like, I don't know if it's in the garbage collection routine, but I do believe it tries to clear itself out some. If it cannot, I used resaver to actually do it. So, and this is the game save that I've been playing. So if we take a look, let's see here. Let's do it like this. Let's go here and take a look at the manifest, and let's take a look at when this was done. So I removed this, it looks like 429, about 649. So it's somewhere around probably right here, maybe. Maybe it's this one. I can't really tell. But it might have been like this one here. Maybe up here. Let's see, there's 28. It's probably here, maybe. Yeah, I think it's here is where I did it. So you can see I've been playing the games, and I've had these gaming sessions here. And I haven't like played a long time, although I did actually pick up another crash that could be related or may not be related to removing things. It's hard to tell at this point, so I'm not necessarily going to say that's the case until I'm sure about it. This is totally different. Again, it's an access violation. So an access violation is usually where it tries to access something that doesn't exist. That very well could have been a drone. Or the body of a drone. I'm not sure. I'll wait until I go. One of the ways I can test this, I do know there were drones in that place where Kellogg is. I forget the name of it. I can go back to whatever that fort is or wherever he is, or what he was, and see if I still have that problem. And then if I don't, then everything might be okay. It's kind of a iffy. It's an iffy kind of a situation. The thing you want to watch out for though is if you remove too much stuff. If in your papyrus log you start getting oh gosh, stack truncations where you have way too many suspended stacks, um, that's going to be a problem. And I did have that in a prior playthrough. I think it was this one here. I think it was this one. As a matter of fact, I'm positive it was this one. So I removed a whole bunch of stuff. Now, I can't go back and show you what I removed because the actual comparison code wasn't in the application during this game. It actually was during the most recent game. Uh, so when you have suspended stacks, everything comes to a halt. You got script lag like you wouldn't believe. Everything doesn't seem to work, and then it's because the scripting engine is choking on itself. So I'm gonna kind of guess that it's gonna be like if you've programmed before and you do exception trapping, it's very CPU cycle intensive. So it takes up a lot of CPU cycles. So the more you hit an error condition, the more cycles you take up because just to trap the error, switch over, calculate what it is, it's pretty intensive. So each one of those errors, I'm gonna probably assume is causes script lag. You know, so the more papyrus errors you have, the more suspended stacks you have, the more error conditions the papyrus encounters, the more that's going to add to the processing time of the script, which is going to go over its budget, and then it's going to kick out without doing anything because it's still trying to process all of those suspended stacks that are still in error because something was removed. So that would be an extreme situation, extreme case, where that game save is not going to be usable from that point forward. You can use it, but it's going to be so quote unplayable. It's not going to be worth it. So it really depends on what you remove, and I know that it's going to go against a lot of things people say, and if I was a mod author I would definitely recommend, hey, try not to remove it, because if you literally say, yeah, you can remove my mod, now some mods actually give you an uninstall option. It actually stops the quests, which frees up the variable memory because the variables are only used for that particular mod. So there are mods that provide that type of functionality. But most mods, I don't want to say most mods, but then there are some mods that don't. If the variables are local to the mod, you would probably have a better chance, to that particular mod, you'd have a better chance of not trashing your game save as opposed to if it modifies global variables in some way, shape, or form. And it's really hard to tell, and the average user wouldn't know. There's no way. Like, there's no way I could know. I don't know. I don't look at their scripts. I read the mod page. Some mod authors absolutely say, do not remove this. This is absolutely bad. Just like they would say, don't add an ESL and ESP for the same mod. That's absolutely not good either. So it's kind of iffy. But I wanted to show you that so that way you could see that the game save has kind of leveled itself out. I do have an extra crash. I do not have a reason for that. I have to update my buff out keywords to see if maybe there's something in there I'm missing. And I didn't really see a lot, but one of the things I can do is I can go in here and we can actually look for, let's not do it that way, let's do it this way. See, this is in the load order, but it only found one item. So drones didn't even come up, which I'm not really sure why that's there because I did remove it. That's interesting. Um, I'll have to check that and see. I'm not really sure because that technically should not be in there at all. Um, oh, that's interesting. All right, I'll take a look at that one here in just a little bit because I don't want to misinform you on something. But if you look at the reason here, it started with this is probably the first. This would be first in the stack, and you kind of go up. It looks like it's hitting somewhere along the lines of. Uh, let's see. You got to keep going up a little bit higher here. I don't know if it's better locational damage is what caused it, which that if that's the case, that could be a better locational patch or something. I mean that is a possibility. Um, so I can't literally say drones wasn't the cause because it literally looks like it's still in there, even though I did not load it. So yeah, it's down here somewhere. It shows it's still being loaded as an ESL. Oh no! Well, no. I am absolutely correct. This is Ice Storm's drone. This is not the ACD drone. That's the one I took out. I wasn't even thinking. So I apologize. That's my fault. I took out the ACD drone. So it's not even in there. Of course, it wouldn't be because the reference is not there. Um, so it looks like the cause might actually be maybe better locational damage. Although I'm not going to rule out the fact I removed the mod. It is a possibility. But I just wanted to show you that and kind of talk a little bit about like the variables because I don't think everybody like knows all that. I still don't know some of it. I get the concept. The concept's kind of easy for me to understand, but the actual variables and what they do, there's a lot of them, and the little quirks about it, I can't even begin to touch that. Um, all right, so let me cut this short and say that was I have been doing this. I've been actively removing mods. I've done it more than once here. I've even added mods in. So I'm going to keep playing with this, and then as I encounter some interesting problems, I can, because I mean, it may corrupt the game save, it may not. It's probably like playing like gamey roulette, in a sense. Um, so it's just kind of if you do it and your game save gets trashed, there's really no way to fix that because there is no program that literally parses out the game save in like let's say an XML format so that it's all text data that you can easily edit and then go back and rebuild your game save and then load that back in. That is something I think would be really nice to have. I might look at it sometime in the future just when I run out of things to do. Um, just to challenge myself to see if it's possible. Uh, but okay, so that kind of covers that. I hope that helps some, and just let us know if you have any more problems.